All right. Hey, welcome. GC365. Let's go. Day 309.
Oh, we're getting close.
We're getting close. You might have to adjust the color on your screen with all this red.
Wow. You're one to talk.
I know. Gosh. So,
Redheads unite here.
Redheads unite. I'm Pastor Connor. I'm the associate pastor at Woodinville. This is Emily.
Hello again.
Yeah. So it's story time first. Story time. Emily, for the longest time, handled our expense reports at the church.
Yes.
And I don't know what prompted me to do this. I just felt like being annoying. And I would send my expense reports to her every other week.
Yep.
And I decided, you know what? Like, because knowledge is power, right? I'm gonna have a whole article of just stuff, like random stuff that I would copy and paste it from like Wikipedia or some like National Geographic.
Yep.
And I would copy and paste it, so she had to scroll all the way through,
scrolling pages and pages of about whales or birds or hunting or
it was usually stuff that like I was interested in for the most part. And then so she had to scroll all the way through it to actually get my expense report at the bottom. And somehow she still paid me like through all of that. And then what was unfortunate is that Terry started doing expense reports, and then I continued the same thing because I'm a creature of habit. And then she started emailing back like, wow, that's so fascinating. Like she actually enjoyed it. And I'm like, well, that took all the fun out of it. I stopped that day because all of a sudden it wasn't fun anymore because she actually enjoyed reading these articles about bears.
It's not annoying anymore.
It's not annoying anymore, so I stopped. It was how I announced to Emily that we were pregnant with our first.
That was the best.
Yeah, that was super fun. We were like, it was like your baby at 12 weeks or whatever. And then, but what that meant was that day I'm like hovering in the office, just waiting for her to open it. And it was literally all day long. I'm sitting here waiting, like just waiting for some sort of reaction from her. And then like I kept asking, have you checked mine yet? Like, no. And then eventually Stacy just walks in.
Yes.
Hey, Emily, you should do Kyler's expense report right now.
So then the pressure was on. So I literally knew that you were going to have this big post in there. So I just scrolled right past it at first.
I just sat
and then
there
you're just sitting there
I'm like read closer.
Anticipation. And I was like, what is it? And
yeah.
So that was a really fun way.
It was really fun.
So creative.
Yeah, the Gingers unite here at our camp or at Gold Creek. So hey, let's talk about the reading. Here's the crazy thing. You know, we're kind of we're in Ezekiel, but here's the strange part about it. Not like to skip through the first part a little bit. We'll go back to it. It's so easy when you're going through these prophets to be like, they're talking about this today. That's totally because it talks about in the second and third chapter, it talks all about these false prophets. And then it was a bonus for the ladies out there. It was like false women prophets too was a different one. I'm like, didn't know that was a thing. No. But it was it's so easy for us to like. I was reading and I almost catch myself like, oh, is he talking about this thing right now here today? I'll tell you guys right now, 95% of what the prophets say in the Bible was something that was going to happen within the lifetime of the prophet. Now, there's definitely excuses, or like there's definitely like Isaiah, right? He's talking about Jesus. You know, like that was hundreds of years later. But for the most part, be cautious when you're reading through this. This is talking about stuff that was happening back then. Now it's still in the Bible so that we can gain wisdom and so that we can honestly associate it with things that might be going on now. But I just thought it was interesting as he's just denouncing all these different people and we're kind of giggling earlier because God sitting in heaven, like watching his prophets do the right thing and watching other people say the wrong thing. Like, what? No,
I didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
These are not words from God.
No, stop.
False news.
Yeah, fake news. So, but if we back up to the beginning of Ezekiel, it's just a crazy story, just about like, hey, go be in exile. Right now.
Well, the only imagery that I kept coming back to when I read through Ezekiel 12 was Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
When he's digging the hole through, spoiler alert.
Yeah. You've had 35 years to watch this movie.
It's on TV all the time. Yeah. Digging the hole through the wall, packs up all his belongings on him and escapes out, but then eventually has to live in exile because he just escaped prison, basically. So that's all I kept thinking about was digging this hole through the wall and escaping.
The problem is I can't think of that movie without thinking this super spiritual show, Family Guy. Watching it when I was a kid, they did a Shawshank Redemption episode.
Yeah.
And you know how he's banging through the tube like when the lightning cracked?
Yeah.
But the Family Guy version, it was because the warden was watching Friends. It was like, you ever told me life was gonna be this way? And he goes, that's probably bad on the mic. I'm sorry, but yeah, like I just think of that every time. But it's true. Like he like. Here's the thing. God told him to dig a hole through the wall. I guarantee you, there's perfectly good gates.
Well, yeah, he said while people are watching. So while they know what you're doing, just dig through this perfectly good wall.
And I'm curious how close to the door, how close to the gate. Like, do you do it right next to the gate?
Perfectly open door.
Yeah, do it right next to the gate or go around. But yeah, it's so much of it. I mean, it's God using him to prove a point. He's like, hey, this is your way of showing people like this is what's gonna happen.
Yep.
This is what's coming on, and don't turn back.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look back. Just pack your things. And to me, part of me, I'm like, that sounds like a cool camping trip. But like, exile is way worse than camping.
Exile is way worse than camping.
Way worse than camping. But yeah. So Ezekiel, super fun read. And then if you go into Hebrews, which I like to call Old Testament number 2 today.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was reading, and I was like, wait, like.
Wait, back up.
I thought we already did Genesis.
Yep. I actually really liked this, though. I liked reading about Melchizedek just because it forced me to go back and be like, where have I heard of him again? And where did we read about him? And it was all the way back in Genesis.
Right.
So.
And he's kind of like a sleeper.
Yes.
He's a Bible sleeper where he's really only mentioned in the book of Genesis.
Yeah, like twice.
But it's talking about like, the order of the Levites and like are you kind of a priest of this or that, and how things changed over time as people either screwed up or there needed to be a change. But what's great is, I mean, all of it is pointing back. You think of the time, right? These are Jewish people, right? These are all people who read the Pentateuch and like believed in Judaism, right? At the time. And so the author's talking to them in ways that they understand, making it so that it's totally applicable to them. And that's why I think it's so great that this compared to a lot of things that Paul was writing. I mean, Paul, even though he was a Jewish man, he often really wrote to the Gentiles, and he was writing to the Greeks very often. But this is very much it's called Hebrews for a reason.
Right.
It's to the Hebrew people.
Yeah.
Trying to help them understand, like, hey, this isn't something that just happened right now. This has been going on since Abraham.
Yeah.
This has been going on since creation.
Yeah. And I thought it was just cool, the connection, or how they tied in, the Levitical priests is who you always hear about, and the order of Levi, and they were known as the priestly tribe. And then when Jesus came along, he's from the order of Melchizedek, and like from these priesthood, basically. And how after Jesus' sacrifice, that the Levitical priesthood had like died out, and so then it starts Christ's priesthood and the Messiah. So
yeah, it was so great right at the end.
Cool,
it's kind of like, hey, this has happened before. There's been a new law before.
Yeah,
here's a new law now. Right, there's new stuff happening, and it's all because of Christ Jesus, our King. Right, which I think is super amazing, super cool, super fun. Now it's confession time when it comes to Psalms.
Okay. Today we have Psalms 105, verses 37 through 45.
What other days have we had that, Emily?
Well, back on day 127,
I'm so stupid.
I happened to be recording with my mom on GC365, and we talked about Psalms 105, 37 through 45.
We're both just really thick, and we realized that half the people on our staff don't know like us. So this is my 7th time reading through the 1-year Bible.
Okay.
I didn't realize that the Psalms repeated themselves.
I didn't either.
I've been reading along, and it's just I don't really pay attention to what verse we're doing. I'm like, oh, it's one of the Psalms.
Yep.
And like I do remember like earlier in the year, like, wow, we're getting up to Psalm 140. We're getting towards the end. The last Psalms must be really, really long
really
to take us all the way through the end of the year.
I know.
And then she was going through.
Didn't even realize. I was like, this sounds so familiar, and I already have notes on this, and I've already talked about this. And we've already talked about this.
And so one of the officers were like, "Did you guys know that?" And they're like, "What?" Like, so it wasn't just us. And then we walk into the media room. They're like, "Duh."
Okay. Well, cool.
I feel thick today. I feel dumb. But
so
once again, you could also just go back to day whatever
127
to
hear my notes about verses 40 and 41. or what stood out to me.
I feel so stupid.
Yeah. The idea that Jesus will be all we need, but desires to be all we want.
Yeah. Maybe you just realized that with us today. Then of course, Crystal in the other room was like, yeah, they've mentioned this on the GC 365s before. I'm like, well, I missed that one. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't watch every single one of these. Yep. So, well, fantastic reading with you guys today. Keep caught up. We are so stinking close towards the end. So make sure you guys are finishing strong. Yep. You're welcome for all the red that you got, I guess, bombarded with.
Bring our flavor, our spiciness.
Yeah, bring our flavor and all the spice that you got today. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys tomorrow.